welcome along to our October Cabinet meeting. First of all, we have apologies from Councillor Hampton and Councillor Giles. I'd also like to welcome Mick Bonington, who is the new Green Party political assistant. So welcome, Mick. Glad to have you here. Are there any declarations of interest from Cabinet members? No. So we'll move straight on to public questions and petitions. And the first one is from Councillor Hockner to the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Housing and Community Safety. So would you care to come up and ask the question, please, Councillor Hockner? Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Cabinet Member for their response and offer to take the issue forward, and forward, and I don't have any follow-up question. Thank you.
No. Okay. I wasn't paying attention. That would teach me. Question 2, is Councillor Catt present? Is not.
I'm afraid he's unwell.
Right, okay, fine. Okay, so that question falls, but we do have the answer in writing, so thank you. And then question 3 is an urgent question, which I have accepted from Councillor Hockner. Would you like to come and ask the question, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to ask this question. We have all been watching in horror the events unfolding in the Middle East. I understand the Council's decision to illuminate City Hall in Israeli colours since the 9th of October, or on the 9th of October, was intended to show support for the people of Israel who have suffered terribly in the Hamas attack of 7th of October. Council Stoner described the display of the Israeli flag as a politically neutral act of humanitarian support. Whatever the intention, many Norwich residents, including members of the Palestinian community, have not experienced things this way. For them, the Israeli flag symbolizes the war crimes committed under this flag in Gaza as we speak. Can the Cabinet Member please explain what the Council will do to reassure residents that we condemn all acts of terror and that all innocent lives lost in this conflict, both Israeli and Palestinian, matter and deserve to be mourned? Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your question. And in answer to the question, at the start of the most recent violent conflicts in Israel and Palestine, the government wrote to local council leaders across the UK, encouraging them to light up UK buildings or monuments blue and white up to 8 p.m. on the 10th of October to show support for the people of Israel. But of course, following acts of violence since that time, I would like to make it abundantly clear that Norwich City Council utterly condemns all acts of terror, along with all innocent lives lost in this conflict, regardless of faith. I would like to provide a summary of what Keir Starmer said in his earlier statement to the House of Commons on this matter, which I fully endorse. The murder of innocent men, women and children, hostage-taking and unimaginably difficult stories and images emerge every hour. Families are grieving across Israel and Gaza, and here in the UK too. This is a terrifying and distressing time for everyone, Israeli, Palestinian, Muslim and Jew. We are clear that Israel has the right to keep its people safe and bring hostages home. Israel's defence must be conducted in accordance with international law. We are also clear that the pain and suffering which has been unleashed is the responsibility of the terrorists of Hamas. Hamas are not the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian people are not Hamas. I would also like to add that Norwich has always been an open and progressive city, one which has provided a welcoming and safe sanctuary to those who have needed it. We're proud to continue that tradition today, as we are equally proud of the diverse communities and different faiths which make up our wonderful city. I plan that we will have a minute's silence at the full council meeting in November as a mark of respect to all those who have lost their lives or been injured in this conflict, irrespective of their faith or nationality.
Thank you very much for your response.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we move on now to the minutes. These are the minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of September 2023. There are a couple of typographical changes. The first is that I believe Councillor Kendrick was present, not Councillor Kenk, or whatever it actually says.
Kenrick.
Yeah. Kenrick, yeah, anyway. And secondly, the first public question was asked by Mr. John Senna, not Mr. Hawkins. So with those corrections, can we accept these as a correct record of the meeting, please? Thank you.
Chair, just one thing. I say they haven't spelled it wrongly, Kendrick, but the worst instance of this was on Hastings Borough Council when instead of using a D, they used a P, so it's Kendrick.
That's very insightful on their part, I suggest. Let's move on then to item 6, the Scrutiny Committee recommendations. They are on page 13, and Councillor Kendrick is going to introduce this item.
Yes,
I've got your name correct,
you
Councillor
have indeed,
Kendrick.
sir. Thank you very much indeed, Chair. Well, obviously it's my role to introduce these Scrutiny Committee recommendations, which I think are very full, but I'd like to hand over to my colleague Councillor Jones, who obviously is the cabinet member responsible for ASB, and I believe would like to say a number of words. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to thank the Scrutiny Committee for the opportunity for us to present the work we've been doing and answer their questions. It was a really positive opportunity to see the progress we've made, that's been made in the service, and some work, really excellent work done by officers in that team. Exceptional work there. And just, thank them for their recommendations. I would say, there are certain elements that require have resource implications, and I think one of the things to highlight is the really good track record in that service of seeking funding from all sorts of sources. When local government budgets are stretched as they are, we have a very good track record in community safety of particularly bids to safer streets funding, and looking at ways continually to increase the amount of money we're able to spend on community safety in the city. So I look forward to considering these and stressing these recommendations further with officers to see how we can progress things.
Excellent. Are there any comments or questions from, well, I suppose it's Kate really, the only person on Cabinet who's not spoken on this so far? No. Are there any questions from Lucy?
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes. And thanks to Scrutiny for taking this on, thanks to the officers for making such a good report, and thank you, Councillor Oliver. The ASB team has experienced quite a number of changes, as I think we heard, and officers leaving, changing roles, and residents have continued to struggle to make contact very recently. I just wanted to ask for assurance that the team is regularly reviewed for adequate resource in this time of change, as some vulnerable residents are still unfortunately being adversely affected.
Yes, we do review what's going on in the team, and if you've got particular cases, please send them on to me. I haven't received anything recently from people. I've had cases where people have said we've got an ASB issue, but actually there has been some input, or every single one I look into, but I haven't received any ASB ones from Green Party councillors recently. So please do send these things to me as portfolio holder. I can't follow up unless I know them, so I'm happy to take anything like that. If you've got concerns, please do send them on to me.
Good. Okay. So this is being received for consideration of the recommendations. So can we receive this report, please? Thank you. Let's move on now to item 8, disposal of assets, non-housing acquired by the revolving fund. This is compliance. I was getting excited and carried away because that's my item. That was my item. Compliance, yes, and this is most definitely Councillor Jones. And it is a good news item.
Thank you. So this is again bringing to you the progress we have on compliance work. This is an ongoing piece of work with senior regulator. We've got the compliance board, we've got external independent experts being part of this process, and we follow the detailed improvement plan. And this is something as Cabinet we've had regular oversight of. I think I want to draw your attention really to page 25 and 26, where we've got our position at the end of August 2023 with the compliance achieved in gas safety, lives, water hygiene, asbestos. Also got some good progress around electrical safety, where we've taken legal action to gain entry if we need to, and highlighting in the report states about all priority 1 and 2 actions from inspections being completed. Got fire safety where we're continuing to make good progress, and it's really important to note there's a programme of work to move forward with fire doors. And I think I really hope Paul could actually update us because he gave me a very good explanation of that, but there's the same detail. I can't give it in detail, but I think it'd be really helpful if you can update on the details around that. But I think one thing I really want to highlight is the comments made by Cam particularly. It said the pace and amount of progress against the action plan remains impressive. There's a clear drive across everyone we spoke to not only hit the deadlines, but to embed a sustained approach to ensure ongoing compliance. The shift in culture is proactive, problem solving one is clear, and this will be key in ensuring sustainable compliance beyond this project. And I think that's really important that it is embedded in what we're doing, and that yes, we're moving towards feeling like we're coming to the end of this process, but actually there isn't an end because we've got to ensure continued compliance. And I think it's become something that's become really embedded in everything we're doing. But I think it's really good to have that external viewpoint on what we're doing, and really sort of positive move forward. I'm sure Paul can update on things because obviously that is the position. The report was the position at the end of August. Obviously we're further forward than that now, but also I think in terms of the fire side, I think you'd be able to get more information.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Kendrick.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've attended all the meetings of the Health and Safety Compliance Board. Obviously, in my role is in terms of the general fund building, so obviously that's not quite specific to this issue. But I'd like to pay very great credit to Paul and in fact his team, because I think he's been very much team. Of course, we have Mark Brown here as well, who's also done some fabulous work on this. And I think the turnaround has been magnificent. I'd like to thank Councillor Jones and also Councillor Harris,
of course,
the work that they did. So congratulations to all our officers in turning this around.
Thank you. Are there any questions? We've only got one opposition leader here, so did you have any questions, Lucy?
Yes, thank you. I have got a series of more detailed questions in with officers, but I'm waiting response on those regarding the fire risk and fire law. And clearly the safety of the tenants is paramount, and the council's favour on this range of issues is being addressed, which is really clear. I'd like to understand what the issue with the NEC system is. As a council, we've spent a huge amount of money on staff time and bringing this in. Recently, it's mentioned in the Campbell Health report, and it caused huge destruction when it came in. Yet it seems from the report it doesn't have the correct forms. I think it's page 41, or data management facilities. There's no read across, and now it looks like it's seriously holding us up. Who's responsible for resolving that? Is it the company or the council? And when can we expect it to be sorted out?
Thank you. Yeah.
So I think the first piece is the reassurance around where that sits. So there is a board established that manages the NEC programme of transition, and then below that there's a number of work streams that pick up the development of the system and any issues, I suppose, with things that the tools that we're doing that are people, and that sits at senior level both within Norwich and within NEC itself. So I think some of the functionality that we were expecting, or we know the system does, as part of the out where the system is configured for us. And so we've built the program of works to rectify that. So the most significant piece, which we've completed our internal piece, is the unique property reference numbers. So those are the identifier numbers attached to the property, which is key then to recording things like compliance data or improvement data for windows, doors, and kitchens, bathrooms, and things. We've reviewed all of those, and where needed, we've reviewed all of the UKRA numbers. That's in test at the moment and due to arrive in November. Once that's complete, we can then start to roll out things like fire risk assessment forms in the system, also hygiene risk assessment forms in the system, and the electrical data off the back of it. So I think we should be reassured that we know where those gaps are, and we've got a program in place to pick those up and address them, both with officers working internally to do that and with giving support.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. So again, we're being asked to note the content of the report. All those in favour? Thank you very much. So now I'll move on to item 8, which is disposal of assets, non-housing acquired by the revolving fund. This is a great news story. Again, around us taking stalled sites in the city, brownfield sites, and getting them developed. And members will remember the Mile Cross former King's Arms pub, which we acquired under CPO, compulsory purchase order, in 2022, and I think 2021, 22, and now has some fantastic high quality social housing on it. Now we've got the revolving fund, we've got nearly £5 million in it of capital, £500,000 of revenue under the Towns Fund deal, and we use that to purchase stalled sites and then move them on for development where this has not been happening for a period of time. And Windmill Road in Catton Grove Ward is a site which has laid empty for nearly 10 years. It was available as part of the Aldi development around 10-ish years ago, and has stalled since then. So we are proposing to acquire it, or should I say we have acquired it, and now what we want to do is to set out our approach to disposal. The intended approach is that the freehold is offered for sale via a development agreement committing the buyer to a start on site and completion in line with specified milestones, and sales information making it clear that the council is open to an agreement whereby the payment for land is phased or is back-ended, which may be advantageous for the cash flow of the purchaser. So, as I say, this is really, really good news. This was a stalled site, an eyesore in Catton Grove Road, Catton Grove Ward, should I say? Yes, it's actually on the Sprouston Road. An eyesore which we're now going to resolve and ensure is developed. So we're requesting delegation of authority for disposal of this non-housing asset, which has been acquired by the revolving fund. So I think that's basically it. Are there any questions? Paul?
Well, as your fellow councillor of Catton Grove, I think I'm absolutely delighted that this council is actually pushing this matter forward. I saw there was an excellent documentary on BBC this week which dealt with the housing crisis. And of course, there were the same old tropes that somehow it's local government not issuing the planning permissions and not doing enough. I think that the programme quite rightly demolished that. The reason is it lies within the private sector and government, with the fact that we're not building enough houses in this country, and that's why we have a housing crisis. So this is an excellent example of how actually local government is actually working to build houses. And I think it's something that both Mike and I have been involved in, and of course as Catton Grove councillors as well. I think it's something that we as a local authority can be very proud of. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Lucy, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. I can't see a rationale or justification justification in the paper for why the authority to dispose of subsequent sites should be delegated to the Executive Director of Development and City Services. Can I see the risk assessment around what we gain by removing this from cabinet oversight?
Graham, would you like to pick that up?
Happy to. As you probably aware, I don't know if you checked your email, because that was one of the questions you emailed through. I did actually answer it.
Okay, sorry, I haven't.
No, it's fine. Essentially, the answer I gave was the reason why we're seeking delegated power, both in relation to this site and any subsequent sites that we would expect to mirror a very similar process, is one speed, effectively, because the revolving fund works with effectively pushing the sites forward once we've acquired them as quickly as we can onto the market. And if there's a requirement to every property disposal, we normally bring through to cabinet for a decision, that will add several weeks into the timing that it would take effectively to push them through. And the whole purpose of funding is effectively to actually, after many years of these sites being stalled, is to bring them forward to development as quickly as possible. And particularly when we're wrapping a development agreement around that with an end developer to effectively force them to get in the site as quickly as possible, it seems slightly counterintuitive not to try and maximise the speed with which we can handle those processes.
Yeah.
So that was the reason for pushing it through. It just eases, it takes several weeks out of the process to make a decision, and the decision should be relatively straightforward. So that was what I said.
I think Leah wanted to add something. Thank you, Graham.
I thought it might just be helpful to give reassurance to members that there are constitutionally preserved governance arrangements in place when we do make decisions like this. As it happens, disposal of an asset wouldn't constitute a key decision, which would require calling. But in these cases where Graham will make decisions, there will be an expectation of decision notices published in the public domain, setting out the rationale for that and how that decision was reached. So there will still be governance arrangements, and there are still methods through which that can be challenged.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you very much for that clarification. The recommendation is on page 49, so I'm just going back there. So this is to request delegation of authority for disposal of non-housing assets acquired by the revolving fund. We're being asked under the recommendation, there are two recommendations that we're being asked to approve that you can see. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Then item 9 is managing assets non-housing, which is Councillor Kendrick. There's also an exempt part of this paper, isn't there, Paul?
Yes.
Can I just ask, does anyone want to raise any questions or issues on the exempt part? And if not, we won't need to exclude the public. No, no one does. Okay, Paul.
Thank you very much, Chair. There are obviously two items in relation to this particular paper. It should, of course, be the land at Cooper Lane, not rather than the land at Cooper Land, as in the report, which I will deal with. I'd like to hand over, when it comes to Guildhall, to Mark, as there's obviously a rather complicated history to this, but I do very much agree with that too. As to the land at Cooper Lane, this is obviously to sell to the owner of the adjacent property, which we will receive a capital receipt, which was obviously the figures are dealt with in the below the line, but also it is subject to the fact that no permanent structures are to be built on the site. The land is to be used for garden use only, and they can be used for moorings on the river yard. So I very much support this. As I say, up to item 2, I think obviously, although I fully support it, given its complicated history, I'd like Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a history to why it will be Guildhall. We made a decision, as outlined in the report, to sort of
dispose of 4A Guildhall and dispose of 4B Guildhall if the resolution on 4B was subject to us not agreeing sort of a lease on 4B. So it's a bit of an oddity in action the way we worded that resolution. In fact, we did successfully agree on a lease on 4B Guildhall with the Inspiration Trust. So is the property runs back from the old library to Guildhall Hill. 4A is still causing some challenges in terms of the future of it and how we dispose of it. So it has been on the market. We've had some interest, we're not interested at a level or an offer that would be attractive for us as a council going forward. There has been interest in taking the two properties together and taking a freehold interest in the properties together. But obviously to achieve best value, we would need to be able to market that. And so the decision for you today is to dispose jointly of, or at least market jointly 4A and 4B Guildhall. So we think there's a better chance of getting a better disposal and better value for the council if we take that approach. But the previous resolution, as it stands at the moment, does not allow us to do that.
Thank you, Mark. That's a lot clearer. Are there any questions? No? Yes, Lucy.
Just around Cooper Lane, there are some trees, and if they obviously are life assets, which is 15 space and time years, mature trees, improving air quality, reducing flood risk as well. Have we done anything to ensure that the existing large trees on the site will remain or will replace with equivalent trees if and when they do need to be removed?
I don't believe the trees are subject to a TPO at the moment. The couple of trees in question are in fairly poor state. I think one of them fell recently. And I think one of the key reasons the adjacent owner wishes to take ownership of this land is to manage it more proactively. So I think that's their intention going forward. Obviously, precisely this going forward, hopefully things like biodiversity again will assist us in some more proactive management of those sites in the future.
Thank you. Okay, the recommendations are on page 61. So can I see those in favour, please? Thank you, that's passed. And that is the end of the meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.